Hi everybody, welcome back to the Fox Box. After the positive feedback from the last video, you'll be pleased to know I have had a few glasses of wine. I'd like to say that it's easier to do this after a few drinks. It ain't, because I keep forgetting what I'm going to say. And this one, theoretically, should be a serious video, because I've got something I think quite cool to show you. Again, this isn't going to be to everybody's taste, what I've just done, but I'm quite chuffed with it. So this is the Atari 2600 Woody. Now this is the one that Retro Ram 88 bought me last summer. When he was trying to get me involved in retro gaming, he says, "Ben, have this. This will be the start of it all." And it was the start of it all. I've got quite a nice collection of things going behind me now, but this first one never really worked. I'd done some older videos where I've switched around some of the parts on the boards, trying to get it to work. I've kind of been on Reddit and watched other people's channels to try and work out, you know, is it the riot chip that's gone? Is it the color adjust that's gone? Is it the power? Is it something that I've bought? You know, one of my older videos is showing the pile of broken Ataris that I've had, and I've had various ones for spares or repair, and ones that should have worked that didn't. Never been able to get it to work, but at the same time, you know, the Woody is, you know, it's an iconic design for a video game console. It is the OG console, and you know, it's a present from a mate, and I don't want to just sling it, and I don't want it to just sit there gathering dust on a shelf. So I wanted to do something with it. Now, actually getting this to work as an Atari 2600, it kind of became less of a priority for me. I mean, you can see just there I've got the 7800 now. That didn't work out. Again, I had problems with that one originally, but with this new telly it works fine. So all the games that I bought for this thing, I can play on that fine. So I wasn't too fussed about getting this to work as a 2600. I just wanted this to do something, and now it does something. It does a lot of things now. If I just take the case off it, what I've done is I've obviously taken the main board that sits there with the, you know, there's the bit that the games click into that normally pokes through the case. I've taken that bit out and replaced it with a Raspberry Pi 4B, onto which I've installed Recalbox emulation software. I did originally want to put RetroPie on it, but I couldn't get it to work. I think there might be some compatibility issues with the latest Raspberry Pi still. And I watched quite a few videos of different people doing this. There seems to be a lot of different ways to do this. What I've done is I've obviously left the main, the main board, the switchboard in place, so that the switches show properly through the top of the case. I've also very roughly for now, actually using this isn't the greatest bit of engineering in the world, but using the cardboard cutout bit that just neatens off the slots at the back. I've just taken that off and taped it over the hole at the front. I might do something better with that, but actually, you know what? For now, it does the trick. It keeps the dust out, and it's working. I've tried to do this in the least destructive way I could. I've seen some people, and actually one of the videos that I follow quite closely on how to do this, they've taken all the switches off the board, got rid of this bit of board, and hot glued the switches back onto the case. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to try and keep this as original as I could, just in case I ever did try and fix it. You know, I could take the Pi out and put it on something else potentially. The one bit that I have done is you can just see on the back, I have drilled 4 new holes into the back of the case, very small 3mm holes, so I can put the spacers in under the board to just mount it. If you can see it, just sits just proud of the case at the bottom, just so it doesn't overheat. I have, and I can't really show you how I've done it on the camera because it's all screwed back into place, but I have wired up the power supply to the original switch. The rest of the switches aren't connected to anything, they're not functioning. I have seen one guy that has actually programmed them all back into their original functions, you know, difficulty and all that type of stuff. that might be something I do later, but that's advanced stuff for me. This is a really easy stuff. What I've done, but I have wired it up via the original switch. So the Raspberry Pi's got a couple of outs on it. One is for the HDMI and one is for the power. So the power one is kind of split via the power button. So when the case is back on, I can switch it on like a normal Atari. And then on the back, obviously got the. This is a little bit unneat at the moment. So one of the guys that I've been watching doing it is kind of hot glued that into place. But again, I don't want to do anything too destructive to the case. And I've got the power bit just sticking through there. Obviously this is the Raspberry Pi 4, so it has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, so I've actually been playing it using a PS4 controller. Annoyingly, this is the only PS4 controller that I've got, and I am using the PS4 for something else at the moment. So I'm going to have to get another one of these, because it's quite... In order to get the controller paired to Recallbox, you need a mouse and a keyboard, which I don't have out here. So every time I want to pair this to the PlayStation and then pair it back to that, I have to take the case apart, put the USB things in it, program it all back in again, and then it's just a pain in the ass. So I'll get a new case for it. But at the moment, I've just got it working with a PlayStation controller. Now that Raspberry Pi cost about 40 quid. It's the 2 gig version of it, which I gather is plenty for retro game emulation. I think it should be able to emulate things up to maybe PS1 Dreamcast type console. But what I'm really going to use it for is, you know, earlier stuff, NES, SNES type things. And actually it's probably worth saying, because I don't know how generally people feel about the whole ROM emulation thing, but I'm not going to use this to replace the collection. I'm still growing the collection, but given the limited space, being able to play a game before choosing whether it's one that I want on the shelf is actually quite helpful for me, because I've bought some absolute crap that I don't have space for whilst I'm not doing it. So yeah, that is the Pie-tari 4, as I'm now going to call it, and I'm going to rig it up and just show you the interface for it a little bit, just in case you've not seen what Recallbox is or how it works. So I'm going to merge out through editing and then come back in again. Okay, all right, let's give this a go and see if it finally works. So there's going to be a little awkward pause now, because Recallbox does take a few minutes, well, I say a few minutes, a few seconds to start up. Hopefully it's going to do something quickly. This is tense. Here we go. So as that's just loading, I've got my PS4 controller that's just paired to it through Bluetooth nicely. So the main interface for this is a list of the consoles that it emulates. So you've got, I won't list all of them, but you've got Commodore, Amstrad, old Apples, Atari, the original one that it was originally, which is nice. Got the 7800 on there, ColecoVision, Game Gear, Game Boy, GBA, Intellivision, which I have a real one over there. So you've got a full set of stuff on here. I think you can install more. The latest ones on here I think are about Super Nintendo type thing. Just ignore the fact that it's cutting off around the edges some of the stuff. That's just this TV keeps flicking what its aspect ratio is. So it's actually really easy to install ROMs on it, because if you just you can just do it through your web browser. If you just put in the IP address for this machine, you can sort of get into the inner workings of it. Now the only one that I've actually put on here myself, because actually before I go on to that, there's loads of games pre-installed with with Recall Box that are recent indie games. So on the Atari one, there's games here from 2009, 2015. There are a couple of originals on here still, but generally there's a lot of, I guess, homebrew type games on here for each console. But what I have put on here for now, just to get it started, is Super Mario World. And then you get a, I guess you can see, when you load up the game, you get kind of like a bit of a background on either side of the game screen, showing what, showing the console that you're emulating. And here we go. So that's Super Mario on it. So that is Super Mario being played with a PlayStation controller on an Atari that doesn't have an Atari in it anymore. So there you go. Okay, so that is the Pie-tari 4, as I'm now calling it. I don't know how people feel about that. I guess it's not to everybody's taste, but I'm pretty chuffed that the console that Liam gave me is now pride of place, doing all sorts of things it didn't do before. And also, I'm left with this to I don't know, to do something with, not play games on. But yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you all next time. For the game tour, right, the room tour is going to happen. It's going to happen next. Cheers.